Okay, all right. Maybe okay, we'll be starting. So let me share my screen. Okay. Can I get a thumbs up if you can see the screen? All right, okay. So, hi guys, I'm Roshna, for those who don't know me. And me and Shreyaka together are doing the bioinformatics bootcamp. So, I'll be starting with session 2. Okay, so quickly, this is just a small recap of what happened in the last session. And you guys learned about NCBI, Uniprot, PDB, and SOPMA, if I'm not wrong. So, NCBI, again, this is just a general revision because whatever we're going to do today is also, kind of be using things from this. So, NCBI it hosts databases like GenBank, PubMed, and BLAST. We'll be going into BLAST today. And UniProt and PDB, protein databases, and SOPMA is for secondary structure. This is something that you all are familiar with. Okay, this is what we will hopefully be covering today. So today we'll be looking at the Emboss server in a bit of detail, and then Blast and FASTA, GenScan, and SwissDoc. All right. So to start off with, Emboss is European Molecular Biology open software suite. It is open source and it is open to the public, like almost all of the bioinformatics tools that we have. And it integrates with other tools like NCBI, PDB, and so much more. So one thing that happens is you all, like Shreya Aka said, that you guys, the BTech biotechnology people will be learning this in their second year, and the MSc biotech will be learning it in the third year. And I'm not sure about the health science courses. Okay, so one we'll all be learning this, but one thing that confuses us is how all of these tools are related. And you see that everywhere you see NCBI, somewhere you'll see Gen Bank, and then it'll be there in EMBL, or you find many of these things are overlapping and interconnected, and it's very confusing. So the thing is, it is very hard to try and understand what the whole structure is, because there are different institutes and they share these servers, and they update each other's data, but they are independent, they have different tools on their own, and it's kind of hard. So what we will be trying to do is sort of learn what a specific tool is for, and just learn how we can use it, and trying to understand how the whole network works will be hard. So just remember that Emboss is a huge server, and it's a software, and it has a lot of tools. So some example of some tools are Secret, and then we have alignment tools like Emboss Needle and Water, which are for pairwise alignment. And then we have conversion tools that convert from DNA to protein called Transec, and we have GC content analysis, and the tool is called GC. So okay, okay. So format conversion. So um, if you all have attended Alchemix, for those who have attended Alchemix, you would have downloaded the files in different formats like FASTA or like PDB, and trust me, there are like hundreds and thousands of more formats, and it becomes really, really, really difficult when you're trying to upload it in different types of tools, and you're trying to get something out of it. So now I'll just be introducing you to the very basic conversion tool of Emboss, and that is Emboss Secret. I mean, the word itself it's really amazing, because the sequence and Okay, it sounded interesting to me because it's a secret the way it's converted and like I don't know. Okay, it's confusing. But um so typically what happens here is okay, you just type emboss secret because it's the tool and input is you're giving an input of DNA. So here I have taken the guinea pig's insulin gene. Okay. A short explanation is that wherever you go, you're always going to be looking at human genes and all of that. So I thought it'll be a little bit more interesting if we have some fun animals involved. So here I've taken the guinea pig's insulin gene, and now we I have taken this in the FASTA format. So I think in the previous session you all have learned that how do you use NCBI and get a nucleotide sequence, right? And I literally typed guinea pig insulin and this showed up. I typed FASTA and this thing came up, and I have copy pasted that into emboss secret. And now I'm gonna say, okay, my input is in the FASTA format. I want it in the EMBL format. So about the formats, please don't worry. There are multiple formats, which even after doing bioinformatics, I'm still confused about how they look and everything. But EMBL is a common format. Okay, that's it. And we'll submit. This usually takes around like maybe a minute or so. So I mean, there's nothing much to explain here because you're just converting from one format to another. Okay. All right. So if you notice, our FASTA format is very different here. But ultimately, we do have the same content. But the thing is, when we use different kinds of softwares, they have restrictions that no, okay, I will only accept EMBL format. I will only accept PDB. Or trust me, there are a huge multitude of sequences, and it one of the main challenges when we were working for Alchemix, like during the R&D part, was we spent almost 3 days trying to convert a certain file into another format. So when you get into the harder you know softwares and the files and different diverse files with a large number of sets of data, the conversion becomes really difficult and tricky. So this is just the introduction to that, and you will be using this for like basic projects and everything. So as you see, this is the EMBL format, and this is the I think accession number and the I think description of this gene, and yeah, they have some numbers, index numbers here and there. And one more thing, a prominent thing is that it ends with the double slash. So this is different from this. So basically, yeah, conversion of different formats. All right. So that. Do you guys have any doubt in the secret? Please react if this is so far going okay. All right, great. So now we will be moving on to the next thing, that is pairwise sequence alignment. So sequence alignment, I think Shreyaka has introduced you a bit to that. Sequence alignment is when you have, so in this particular case, we are going to take a pair of sequences. Let's just say we're taking two different DNA sequences, and we are trying to align both of them in different ways to find out the coverage percentage. This is one word that Reyaka mentioned, right? Coverage percentage is how similar two sequences are, or how much they cover. How one sequence covers the other. So we have two things here. That is emboss needle and emboss water. Okay. So before that, we have two types of alignment, that is local alignment and global alignment. Local alignment is that, okay, so you have two different sequences. So today what we will be taking is the guinea pig's insulin gene and the tiger's insulin gene. I just wanted to get creative. Anything but human was my, idea. So yeah, so we have two different animals' insulin genes, and we want to find what sort of similarity is there, or if there's anything convergent in this way. Okay, so local alignment, we align in a way that we get the most number of identical. So as you see, this line indicates that this is identical to this, right? So there are two, identical is different and similarity is different. Can anyone probably unmute and tell me what, if you know, the difference between identical and similar, or even put it in the chat box, I don't mind. Because you think that maybe identical and similar might be, it's the same thing, but it gets really confusing in this aspect. So I'd like one of you, if you guys are aware, to put it in the chat box or maybe unmute and let me know. A guess is also fine. Exact dimensions versus scaled up or down. Yes. Okay. Yes. Sort of. Yes. That was a good attempt. Thank you for the answer. So, what identical means is that, let's just say we have, okay, so identical is that the two bases that we're looking at here are exactly the same. There is no difference at all. But similarity is when the two sequences are two bases have a shared characteristic. So it can be in the form of purines and pyrimidines. So um, when you look at the sequence, you say that okay, these two bases are identical because T and T identical. But then you can say that when it's um, you can say that if it's similar, it means that the two the two are having similar two are having shared characteristics, and but they are not identical. Okay, did you guys get that? All right. Okay, so that is local. Okay, in local alignment, what happens is you try to get the best sort of alignment. Okay, so but in global alignment, you align both the sequences end to end. You cannot, if you can see, in local alignment, the sequence, the 5 prime is starting from somewhere in the middle, but in global, it is made sure that both the ends start and both the ends are completely aligned. Like you cannot start in the middle to get the best possible sequence. You have to make sure the entire lengths of both the sequences are covered. But in local alignment, you are focusing on getting the best possible alignment. No, even if it's like in the middle, you start from somewhere in the end, also, it doesn't matter. All that matters is you get the best possible alignment. But in global alignment, you make it a point to align both sequences end to end. All right. Okay. So basically, in local alignment, you're looking for the highest coverage percentage. Okay. Hello? Okay, sorry, guys. Okay. So, yeah, essentially, okay, for the people that just joined in, I'm so sorry I didn't notice. Okay, so we are discussing local and global alignment. These are two different pairwise sequence alignment techniques. And so in local alignment, we look for the highest coverage percentage, but it is not a mandate that you start from the you align it according to the beginning and the end. But in global alignment, it is made sure that you align both the ends, like the beginning and the last. So now we will be looking at emboss needle, which is the local alignment tool. All right. So now we're aligning, like I said, the guinea pig's insulin gene and the tiger's insulin gene. And here, so basically, since we're all at the beginner stage of using all these tools, we usually do not fiddle with these parameters because they will mess things up. So whatever tool you're using, the best advice is do not fiddle with the parameters unless you have a reason to. All right. So input sequence is DNA, right? That. Okay. Now we're gonna submit. This is local alignment. So yeah, let's wait. Okay. Okay. So this is our output. Okay. It is said that since okay, this is local alignment, and this tool has found that there is a 17% of identical identity and a 17% of similarity, and 78% gaps have been introduced. Okay, so let's talk about gaps. What happens is you genuinely cannot get two sequences that are completely, like fully identical. You do need to introduce some or the other gap. Like, look at that. This is local alignment, right? So we have introduced a humongous gap in the beginning, and then we've started aligning from the what sequence is this? From this range of sequence, this range of the, I think this is the uh, guinea pig sequence. So this is the guinea pigs and this is the tigers, and we are waiting for the highest similarity possible. And finally, if we find it at the 300th to 350th range in the guinea pigs, and that is where the tiger sequence even starts corresponding. So yeah, so this is local alignment. So one point, this is a minute detail that you should probably remember and would probably help you when you're doing this course. The straight line means that the sequences are identical. As you can see, A, T, G, C, C, G, G, C. Okay, so all of them are exactly the same. But when you're coming to the next sequence, you find T and C, right? So both of them are similar, right, in the way of their structure and everything. So that is why similar is indicated by a dot, and the gaps introduced are indicated by a hyphen. All right. So yeah, that is, so all throughout you're introducing gaps to get the best possible coverage, right? All right. So as we are a little unlucky because there is not much similarity, but still we have gotten a 17% identity. And yeah, score is something I think there's a bit more calculation involved, which right now is not required for you guys. But for now, the length is basically the length of the sequences aligned, including the gaps, right? Yeah. And yes, identity percentage, similarity, hope that is clear. Yeah, this is your embossed needle or local alignment. Now moving on to embossed water or global alignment. Again, we are pasting both the sequences. Okay. Like we talked about, the Okay. So, okay. So global alignment will, okay, global alignment, like we talked about here, is going to range from the beginning till the end, introducing gaps as we need, right? So here you can see that the gaps are introduced in the middle, whereas there it was introduced in different. So basically global and local form, they have different, algorithms written. They align it in different ways. The thing is, right now I'm a bit confused because theoretically what we learn, it's a bit different, and this result is looking a bit different. But ultimately the thing is, global aligns both sequences end to end, while local does not have that sort of you know mandate. Okay, so that is there. So next we have, okay, conversion. This is also just a tool which you can maybe try out on your own, which in the upcoming sessions we'll be looking at examples where this is just an introductory session. Even if you are confused, it completely makes sense, because just directly looking at a random example is not going to make sense. But when you come from a, from the scratch, using an example, you have a problem and you have to solve it, you'll understand more, and that is what we have planned in the upcoming sessions. So there it will be much more clearer and definitely a lot more tools will be taught. So okay, and there's also one thing called GC content analysis, or GC. So can anyone tell me why we need to analyze GC content in your gene? You can put it in the chat box or unmute. Okay, it determines the stability of the sequence. Yes, that's a very good answer. So the thing is, GC form the strongest bonds, right? They form those three hydrogen bonds. They form, if I'm not wrong, and they are the most strongest in a sequence, right? So what we try to do is, in your DNA, if that region is rich in GC, it is going to be really hard for you to denature or break it. And suppose you have, like, usually what happens is, when you're doing a project or whatever, you have a sequence and you want to you want to give it for PCR, you want to amplify it and everything, or you want to construct primers, whatever it is. You need to find out how much of what kind of chemicals you need to break those bonds, right? And you obviously, you don't know how much, like, GC content is there um in your in your gene, right? So what happens is, whatever gene you are trying to amplify, you first send the tissue to this an outsider. They sequence your gene, and they tell you the sequence. And that, when you put it in a GC content analyzer, that is GC, you find out I'm so sorry, you find out how much and where your GC is concentrated, and according to that, I think you sort of optimize your experiments or whatever. So that is, I think, a very straightforward example of where your bioinformatics meets your wet lab and all your optimizing of your procedures. And I genuinely felt that it's one of the most interesting aspects of both of them, meeting and working together, something that we all can understand easily, right? So okay, Okay, now we'll be moving on to the next one, that is BLAST. BLAST is basic local alignment search tool. I think Shreyaka has given you guys a basic introduction. So BLAST is a tool which what you do is you have your DNA sequence, and now you want to compare it to the whole database, and you want to find where or what sequence is similar to what sequence you have. You don't have so in the previous local and global, you had two sequences with you had both of them, and you wanted to work with only the both of them to find out how similar or different they are. But in BLAST, you compare your sequence with the whole of the database. So this is much more on a it's not very, like, it's not like you have a fixed thing. You're comparing it with the whole database. Okay, so again, I have put the tiger's insulin gene here. This is a nucleotide sequence. So if it's a protein sequence, we'll be using BLAST P, and if it's a nucleotide sequence, you will be using BLAST X or BLAST N, whatever it is. And like I said, parameters are best left unattended, I guess. Okay. Okay. So this is really interesting if you look at this. This is we are comparing right now the insulin gene of the tiger. And as you can see, what is showing up is the insulin gene of other cat species, if I'm not wrong. That is definitely a cat. Oh, even humans have some sort of. Wow, this is interesting. So, um, here what we look at is, so I think now it's much more clearer because now you're comparing the tiger's insulin gene with everything out there. So now you can get to know that the identity percentage is 97.3%, which is extremely high. Yeah, and see, other parameters are something which you will go into detail when you require it. When you require it, we'll go into detail. But right now, one thing that we all can see is identity percentage. And as you can see, it is always ranked from the highest identity to the lowest, it just goes on and on. So yeah, this is our highest similarity sequence, which is the insulin gene of the Felis catus, which is a cat, I guess. All right, so this is your BLAST. Okay, so we have this other thing called FASTA, which is fast alignment. But the ironic thing is that BLAST is faster than FASTA, which is very sad because it's just such an insult to FASTA. But it's, yeah. So again, now let's go with the guinea pig's insulin gene. I'm going to copy that and put that in FASTA. Here. These are like different types of FASTA that are performed, and they have different, parameters and different things going in. So as and when you require it, we'll be, looking into the details of that. So yes, FASTA. Sometimes these things take a while, so you have to be patient for this. One thing to mention is that while we were preparing for Alchemix, we would start running these jobs, these kind of tasks. It used to be running for almost 5 to 6 hours. So yeah, it with the thing with bioinformatics is the processing time, which is different for everything. And that I think that is also one thing that Shreyaka mentioned. The more, I think with Uniprot, when you have larger subunits or different subunits, if you dock it with everything, the running time will be insanely large. But when you dock it with specifically what you want, you will get the job done quicker. Okay, looks like this is gonna take a while. So let's come back to FASTA later. I think, yeah, okay. I have the differences between BLAST and FASTA. I think the biotech people, I'm not sure about the MSc people, but you guys will have this question asked multiple times in the FATS, CATS, whatever. So, yeah, this is the difference between BLAST and FASTA. BLAST is more, used for proteins, and FASTA is more used for nucleotides. And that is one of the differences that we can remember. And BLAST takes lesser time and is more sensitive, but FASTA is not because FASTA was developed first. Can't, yeah. And yeah, BLAST uses local sequence alignment and FASTA uses local and then moves on to global. And again, by whom it's hosted and everything becomes a very difficult this thing. Okay, so I don't think this is going to happen today, but let's move on to the next one, which is GenScan. So GenScan gives you information about your particular gene. All right. So now let's input your like okay. So far whatever we've seen, right? NCBI or Uniprot, PDB, everything is hosted by government organizations, and as we see, this one is by MIT. So yeah, so the okay, GenScan was developed by Stanford. All right. So as you see here, universities are collaborating and governments are collaborating, and it's just a huge, overlap of everything. But we get the best out of it. So, and for free, which is amazing. So, let's paste the guinea pig sequence. Guinea pig is a vertebrate. Okay. Okay. So, GenScan is basically something that analyzes your single gene. This is not comparing or aligning. You have one single gene and you're trying to analyze this. Like in your project, if your professor, probably gives you a set of, different organisms and asks you to, find which one is the best to work with or which one would best suit your experiment, and you want to, look deeper into that particular organism's, certain gene. This is probably a good, you know it gives you a good idea. So here you have the in your FASTA format. I think yesterday it was mentioned, you all should know by now, that the FASTA format starts with a triangular bracket, and this is the amino acid sequence, this is the nucleotide sequence of this gene. Okay, no exons were found. Damn. Okay, I think this this particular sequence is a bit problematic, but you typically get the length of your exon. Okay, the length of the different exons in your gene, which is your, yeah, which is exons and introns both are shown. So again, these kind of tools you can use to, sort of find out when you go for PCR, or further, even for wet lab, when you go for higher techniques, you want to know which gene you're working with and everything. In that case, this tool is also really useful. Okay, coming to next, Swiss talk. All right, how many of you remember this, those who attended Alchemix? One person? I'm pretty sure a lot of you have attended Alchemix. Okay. All right. Okay. That's great. So this tool is, yeah, I was the one that explained this tool in Alchemix as well. And this is a docking tool which is called SwissDock. So what exactly this thing does is, we have our drug molecule in your SMILES format, which is the molecular format. It's a specific format for your drug, and your target is a certain molecule. All right. So now we are going. So I have inputted the SMILES. We are taking our drug as aspirin, and I have inputted the SMILES of aspirin. Now we are going to try and dock aspirin with a protein. Okay. I think you guys are familiar with PDB. So in PDB, let's, okay, wait. They want a PDB ID. All right. Okay, let me just give you an overview, because usually docking takes a lot of time. And so basically, you have, if for the ones that came to Alchemix, you know how we obtained our lead compound using the data warriors and multiple other things, and we get our SMILES. And this is basically your drug, all right? And then in this software, you prepare your ligand, and next you submit your target protein, and that in PDB, whatever, okay, let's just, okay, suppose this is your protein, this is your PDB ID. So you can just enter it here, all right? And again, search space, these things, okay, this is something that we're supposed to enter, but optimizing this is a really big task. And in Alchemix, if you remember, we had given you a certain set of um, search space points. So that, again, that is a different process. Finding the search space points is different, but yeah, you find the search space, because why is the thing is, because you have the target and you want, to try and dock it in different regions. So to correspond to those regions, you define a certain search space. Okay, so this is really interesting. You guys can try docking different things, but it does generally take a lot of time. So this is again parameters, we avoid it. And yeah, when you dock, what you typically see is different in the different positions, with a ranking of which one is the best suited. And you have different parameters for that as well. But this is just a basic idea of what happens here. And definitely in the next sessions we'll be getting more into the practicalities of it, and what happens when you have a when you have a real problem. And just to give you guys a sneak peek, there's something about you know, cancer and yeah, like there's a example about cancer and starting from the scratch with someone going to the hospital and having cancer. We're going to start there, and we're going to completely help to diagnose that person, and we will be using all of this. So I really encourage all of you to, you know, come for the upcoming sessions, because these two sessions might have felt like a bit of a blur, but the other the upcoming sessions will really get help you to solidify that idea of bioinformatics. And whatever you learn in your course as well is going to be very vague, because you're going to be like, okay, I know how to align two sequences, this, that, what am I finally going to do with it? And that is one thing that I found was sort of lacking in our course, that they didn't, you know, give a give us practical world examples, which would have made it so much more easier to learn. But we really want to do that for you guys, and hopefully these two sessions have helped you get a basic idea. Even if you didn't understand what is going on, it is totally fine, because as we move through each example, we will again be revisiting all these tools and how exactly to access them. So following along will be important. And yeah, this is the basic of the second set of topics that we had. So do you guys have any doubts? I know there were a bit of, you know, confusion in the middle when I got a bit confused, but that keeps happening, and there's always ChatGPT to go and ask why did that happen. So bioinformatics, a lot of relying is done on ChatGPT, but you do need to know how to navigate all of these. And ultimately, you know, when you are going to do your final project or something, whatever it is, I think this year again there are some things that we will be conducting for which these tools will be really useful. I mean, it's coming up, but yeah, this is the second part of the introduction, and hopefully all of you have gotten a basic idea. Hopefully I didn't confuse all of you. So yeah, please do react with a thumbs up if this is going okay. And please do make sure to attend the next few sessions, because they will be very interesting. I am very excited to, you know, be looking at those examples. So yeah, that's it, I guess. We ended 10 minutes early. Right. Oh, okay. If there are any doubts, please feel free to text me or Shreyaka. We both will be happy to help if you're trying out anything on your own or anything of that sort. So, yeah, see you guys next class. You can leave now. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mahit,
What's up?
that was such a. Oh my god, shit is recording.